And we're back. So last time we counted up the number of claims. We added a unique identifier column. We looked at the claim start and end date and calculated about 12 fiscal years, though I don't know if that's right. I'll have to figure that out later. At this point, it doesn't really matter. When you're on the course homepage, there is a help document. And in that help document, it's going to lay out everything that I'm doing here. I'm just going to go up to the top. As I had stated in the last video, I only want to count the paid amounts. So I got to create a new column. Again, this is not the master. This is descriptives. I'm going to click on the column just to the right of where I want to insert. And it just like I'm going to insert just like I did with column A. I just left clicked on the letter up here, and then I went down to insert and clicked insert. What I want to do is create a total paid. Well, they've got paid medical, paid indemnity, paid LEE. I'm going to go paid total. I'm just going to stay with their cadence. So what I need to do is I need to add up these two amounts, or these three amounts here. I can do that many different ways. The first way, the simplest way, is to type an equal sign. Whenever you type an equal sign in Excel, it's wondering, what are you going to tell me to do? In this case, we're going to add things up. So what I can do is take the cursor over the first cell that I want to add, click on it, and it added it. It's R2. The cell is R2. D2 is its brother. And then I can click on the plus sign, the addition sign, click another cell, addition sign, and another cell, hit return. And it added it up for me. Pretty cool. Another thing I can do is use the sum function. So equal, SUM for sum. And when you type in something like this, you see here, it's got the function symbol. It's got some if, some ifs, some product. I don't even use much of these. I only use these top ones here. Then what we do is we put in a parentheses, because that's what it said to do. So sum, number, comma, number, or you can do a range, number, colon, number, range of cells. So I'll go over here, click on the cell, and drag it. And you see what it did is it's highlighting the three cells that I want to add up, R2 colon T2. So it's either R2 plus S2 plus T2 or equal sum R2 colon T2. Put in the other side of the parentheses, hit return, and I got the same number. Yeah. Now what I want to do is fill this whole column in. And I'm going to do the same thing I did when I entered the numbers. I wanted to add everything up. So I'm going to put the cursor over the right-hand lower corner. You see how it changes when you do it? And I'm going to double left click. And it entered it all in. I, of course, am going to check my work. So we're down here now. I do all of my work underneath the data set. I do that for several reasons. The most important is I always know what the starting point will be. I'm always going to be row 2 for the starting point. Then what I have to do is I can just enter in what I see for the bottom row, because these will change as we cut things out, remove things, stuff like that. So I do everything down below. That's just, I found it to be easier. If you do everything above, things change. At least I've got an endpoint that always is the same. That's why I do it that way. But I don't know what these things are. So I'm going to bring down the header row. So I'm right back up at the top. I can scroll over to show you. I'm going to left click on the 1. So what it did is it highlighted everything in row 1 all the way out to infinity. And then I'm going to do I can do a copy, or I can do a control C. See if I go copy. Don't cut it. We don't want to get rid of it. And then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to enter it right here. So I think I can just click over and go paste. Insert copied cells. Yeah, there we go. And it entered it. Here's something you need to know, though. You need to enter in one more. Just go insert. Because later on when we do a sorting function, if we don't have this gap right here, it'll mess everything up. I'm actually going to put in another. Okay, so I've got 2 gap rows. These things copied, but I can highlight them and then go up and remove borders. No border. Yeah. I can add a bottom border. Just play with borders too. To learn to do all this stuff. I'll completely enclose all these. Gotta do it up above too. There we go. I bordered it. Yeah. All right, so let's check our work, okay? So the total paid, what is the total amount paid in all three columns? But I'm going to show you something even simpler. I hope you guys can see. I hope this is big enough. Yes, yes, yes. I feel like I could do this for an hour and still not really get it all done. So the paid medical equal sum R2, that's the starting point, to R388. 388. So what I did is I typed in the beginning cell and the end cell of a range that I wanted to add up. And then it colors it for me. And if I was to do it wrong, let's say I put in 386, it's right here. I can just go up right here and drag it. And it still gave me the 388 return. There's a total amount. If I want to see it in dollars, I just go up and I change the cell. What's this under? It's under number. It's under custom right now. I'm going to change it to currency. You look at, oh no, what did I do? I didn't do anything. It just needs more room. So I just go up and left click, and drag the column to make it bigger. As you can see, I've got 74 cents. Don't need to know what the pennies are. So I'm going to go up under number again and see you can move the decimal point. I can either add more decimal points or take away, and I'm going to take away 2. There we go. That's the total amount of medical paid in the entire data set. Now I could type this again for each of these. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a click and drag, which is a copy paste. Let's center that. If I put the cursor, again, I hope you guys can see. If I put the cursor over the bottom right and left click to hold it, and then drag, I'm holding it down and I'm moving it over, and then I let it up, boop, it actually, here's what it did. So we were sum R2 to R388. If I click on this, go up here, it's sum S2 to S3. So what it does, what Excel does, and what I think is so beautiful about it, is it's spatially oriented. So as you click and drag things, it moves with it. And I use that to my advantage with the data tables, the results tables I create. So here is a breakdown of our data. So we've got about 2.7 million in total claims over the time period. 101.6 million is towards the medical, just under $1 million of indemnity, and just under 150,000 for paid LAE. And hopefully you've looked that up now and know what that means. Probably be on a quiz coming up or something. So what we want to do now is we want to create our descriptives. What do we have here, right? So the first one is going to be the subtotal. The subtotal is what I just added up. The subtotal of the total paid is the total. And I can use these right here as my headers for my results table. Uh-oh, I did something wrong there. Copy, paste, and that's it. That is a Control-C and a Control-V to copy and paste. Yeah, these things are kind of getting all over the place. And then you can expand as you need room. Subtotal, let's go percent total. Percent of total. All right, so I'm going to retype what I had right here. So equal sum R2 to R388. I look up here, it's all highlighted. Hit return. It's big because I need to get rid of the 2 decimal points, and I'm going to turn it into currency again. Oh, I got rid of the pennies when I get there. All right, now let's go ahead and drag this over. Are they the same? Let's see. Yeah, that's font 8. This is font 10. I'm going to be creating a professional table out of this later, so yeah, we're going to need that. The percent of total, what I'm going to do is go equal, and I'm going to click on this cell. So I want that amount to be divided by what the total paid is. So I click on that cell. All right, hit return. I need to turn it into a percentage. And yeah, 2 decimal points, whatever. I could probably only need 1. But there you can see, just under 60% is paid medical. Now that's everything, not 60% of the claims are paid medical. It's 60% of the overall paid benefits are medical. If I was to click on here and drag over, it would give me this error. Why? Because look, as I pulled it over, it moved over the denominator. So either what I need to do is highlight that cell and move it there and hit return, or I could have just clicked, or I could freeze it. And you freeze a cell by putting a $ in front of it. So if I put a dollar sign in front of the U, it won't go left or right, but it will go up and down. If I put a dollar sign in front of the cell number, it freezes it. So it's the same number, but now when I drag it, it figures it out. Just like that. Build some stuff around it. This is going to be the descriptive statistic. I can wrap the text so when I shrink it later, it does that. So what do we need now? We know the total amount per subtotal. We know the percent of the total that it represents. There, looks better. When you look at that table, it'll explain everything you need. One thing I want to know is what is the average and the median. So you could call it the mean. So you can call it average or mean. Call it what you want. We're going to do the median. What we're trying to do is describe what the overall data set has. And this is also going to give you the opportunity to learn more functions. So for average, and this is from the original lecture slide, equal average. And when you type it in, it tells you what to do. I put in a parenthesis, it says give me the numbers. We know that it's R2 to R388. See it highlighted. So we're taking the average of medical paid per claim. Center it. Currency, get rid of the pennies, and then I'm going to drag that over. You see, this is taking the average of the total paid up here and not the average of these three. So be careful what you're averaging. The median, type in equal median. I'm going to type in R2 to R388. See how much easier it is to just type it in this way versus having to go up and click and drag. And that's kind of a percentage. Silly me, currency. Get rid of the pennies, drag it over. So what's the difference here? The average is the total amount divided by the total number. The median is the 50th percentile. So we have the total number of claims here, which is 387. So claim number, so what we have here for an amount is claim number, 1/2 of what that amount was, and it's 708. Isn't that crazy that it's so low? No, it's not, because what that means is we have more lesser claims than we have greater claims. So we probably have some expensive claims. But let's figure out what the expensive claims are, shall we? No, first let's figure out how much the lows are. So let's do a count of $0 entries. So this is a claim which has $0 in it. To do that, we go equal count if. See that? Count if. COUNTIF parentheses, and I'm going to give the same range of R2 to R388, but I have to give a criterion. What is the criterion? A 0. It counted 28 of them. I'm going to go all the way down the road. Yes. So only 28 claims don't have any medical listed. And they may be open claims for all we know. Don't know. We'll find out later. When there's a $0 amount in the claim, what it's basically doing is increasing the denominator. What I want to do is correct for that. So I'm going to do a paid claim average. To do that, I go equal. We're taking the average of this total amount here divided by, we need to modify the denominator. That's what we wanted to do. The total number of claims in this data set, I believe, is 387, right? So we type in 387, and then we subtract the number of 0 entries, which I can't click on for whatever reason, so I got to type in the cell. The cell is R398. I can see that right there. It highlighted behind the thing. Close the parentheses, and there is the claim average. So it went up. Why did it go up? Because we removed some numbers from the denominator, and that's going to make it bigger. Bring it all the way over. You get kind of the same effect. It goes up. So if there were no $0 claims, so what that means is we've got a lot of low value claims. I'm just going to make sure it's 387. It is. Now let's find out what the max is. So let's find out the max entry. Equal max, parentheses, R2, R388. Make sure it's highlighted. It is. Hit return. Turn it into currency. You see, I know I'm going fast. I know. But hopefully you're starting to see that there's a certain way in which I do it. And I'm just going to keep doing it this way. And we're 15 minutes in and I need to wrap this up. I want to know what the percent the max is of the subtotal. So percent max of subtotal. I should really write it out because students don't do that. And then I start looking at their work and I don't know what they're doing. Percent max of subtotal is equal to the max amount divided by the subtotal amount. And I need to turn that into a percent. Center it. Let's drag it over. All right, so this is what we just found out here. Really zooming in, and I hope you guys can still see this. I'm going to bold that. So we've got a breakdown of these three variables within total paid, because add them up ends up to be total paid. This is the percent breakdown. This is the average amount of paid medical per claim. This is the median amount of paid medical per claim. There are 28 claims which have no medical, and you see there are 324 that have no paid indemnity and 285 that have no paid LAE. What does that mean? So out of 387, only 50 some are indemnified, and barely any. Only two have. Wait, can that be right? Only two have a paid LAE. 387. Oh, 287. Okay, so they're over 100. So a lot of them have this paid LE. So it would be worthwhile to look that up. The paid claim average is this subtotal divided by the number of claims that actually had a dollar amount in it. So it's going to go up. It's reducing the denominator of that percentage, of that ratio. Here's the maximum. So the claim with the highest amount of paid medical is $173,000. The highest amount of paid indemnity is $145,000. Highest amount of paid LE is this much. The highest total paid. Now, is it the same one? I don't know. We could check it right here. If I was to add these up, doesn't really matter. No, it's a different one. So one claim doesn't have all the maxes. That's pretty typical. That's why I showed you. The % max of the subtotal. So the maximum amount here represents 10%. One claim out of 387 represents 10%, 10.5% of the total paid. That's very influential. We get the same thing here. That's 15%. Right here is 8%, and the most expensive claim counts for a little over 11.5%. That is an outlier. That is why the average is so much higher than the median, because a few expensive claims drive up the average. So that's why I complained about the averages, and we had the lecture on normality of the data spread. And in the next video, we're actually going to look at the distribution, but we've got some crazy things going on. We have some outliers that need to be removed because these are really expensive claims. We will investigate to find out if their causes are similar or different than the overall. But by removing them from our analysis, we'll get a much cleaner, more conservative estimate of what is the average and what is the median. This number, we would like to get this number below 2%. So the maximum claim is only affecting 2%, or representing 2% of the total we're working with. That will lower this number, but that's okay because frequency has a lot of value. So the frequency in claims is what's going to kind of drive our priorities. And that was the whole lesson of Bird and Heinrich, that frequency is important to look at. So I believe, I may be mistaken, but I believe this is what you wanted to come up with, is to have an idea of the descriptives. These are the type of things you can report in the introduction, because I haven't really done any analysis. All I've really done is just look at, I hate that term, I've evaluated some key statistics within the data set, but I really haven't done much. This doesn't give us any insight on how the program's performing. It doesn't give us any idea of where we should focus our attention. It doesn't really give us much of an indication of what is the quality of the data, but it defines it. Just like you could define a house color or the number of stories, it's just a statistic. It's not saying it's good or bad. It's just defining what it is. So this is one half of what's due this week. And after the next one, what I'll do is I will kind of break it down and show you the assignment and how I'd like you to turn this into a professional table and then interpret what's here.